this game ends up going the distance here, simply because... Welcome to Vonnie Research Station, ladies and gentlemen. This is game number 1 of week 8 of the hot seat. And here, in the 6 o'clock position, representing the Terran race spawning in the red, he plays for Team Liquid.net and is the current hot seat incumbent. It is Bunny. His opponent spawning as the pink Zerg in the 12 o'clock position, representing North America and Canada in particular. Ladies and gentlemen, it is mYinsanity's Kane. And he's a barcode because we are playing on the European server. So he's got an alternate account that he uses to ladder up here. So that's why you see that going on. And Bunny first is going to be opening up with a barracks into a refinery. So not going for the fast as possible factory here, and meanwhile, thanks to this nice little safe pocket expansion, which makes it incredibly difficult for Reapers to come in from more than one location, because ultimately you have to come in via the main base, we're going to be seeing the hatchery go down first from Kane. Now, let's have a think about what is going to be happening in this series. So, it's a best of 9, guys. It's going to be quite a long series this evening. It's we have 7 maps in the map pool. The map pool is last ladder season's map pool, by the way. So we haven't got Coda and Echo in the map pool yet. That's going to start from next week's broadcast onwards, just to make that clear. And I believe next week's broadcast is actually getting rescheduled to Thursday rather than the Friday due to scheduling clashes and stuff like that. So the 7 maps, for those of you who might not be quite as familiar with all of them in a list, are Expedition Lost, Overgrowth, Secret Spring, Vonnie Research Station, Catalina, Deadwing, and Inferno Pools. As we do indeed have the Reaper popping out anyway for Bunny, he's going to go ahead and use this for scouting. Less likely to get a worker kill than on some of the other maps where it's just a ridiculous amount of cliff area. Think Secret Springs, ladies and gents, if you want an example of that. But out of these 7 maps, we veto down to Vonnie for map number 1. It then becomes a loser's pick scenario all the way up to game number 7. Cool. When we get to maps number 8 or 9, if they're required, we do a complete fresh set of vetoes down to 3 maps. And the person on the lower map score picks map 8, and if it's 4 all after that, then of course the other person picks a map for game 9. And this is so that they can play on the 2 or 3 maps that they actually know the best, by the way. That's the reason we chose to do it that way. And it's worked out really great so far. We've had some fantastic series, and it's meant that in the closing stages of series that are really, really tense, we actually have... situations where they're just very tight, very exciting games. So I hope to be able to bring some of those to you this evening. For now, though, we've got 2 Reapers. Tim and Bob are both going to be assaulting the Zerg base here. And Kane at the moment doing a good job of defending. One of his queens is down to about half health, but a second one going to come in and help. And the Zergling just patiently waiting until they absolutely need to be deployed here. So being very, very patient, continuing to drone up behind this. Kane not phased by this sort of opening. And this is what we were talking about on this map compared to some of the others. These queens only have to worry about this cliff area. They're not too worried about a Reaper coming into the natural expansion via some other route right now. They just need to focus on shutting the front door. And that's what Kane is currently doing very, very well indeed. Bunny doesn't actually get much of a view at all. He hasn't seen, for example, if there are any sneaky gases being taken at the natural, and both of these gases have been taken. So very, very important thing to note there. It's just so much more difficult. Now, conversely, Kane has not seen anything beyond that Hellion from this Overlord right now. So it's taking him a while to get to a position where he can scout everything off inside the base. But he sees Reapers, he saw the first Hellion coming out, he can kind of infer quite a lot from that already. We know this is a fairly standard Terran early game composition. We also know that this potentially could apply an awful lot of pain. If you start getting them to high enough numbers, if potential... we have an armory down, for example, and we actually get a situation where Hellbats might be coming in, it can be an extremely difficult position for our Zerg players to deal with. So for sure, Kane has to be very aware of this, and now we have the Overlord moving through the base, knows that there are no Marines here, of course. Sees that we actually have the upgrades that just started, can probably infer that this is Stim, and he's actually just parking this straight over the main base, spotting the timing of that 3rd orbital as well. And this second barracks coming down, I mean, isn't guaranteed, but basically says to him, look, mate, there's not really any chance I'm going mech in this game. And, oh, wow, actually moving the Overlord away, but wanting to scout out, just making sure what those buildings are. We'll see that they're double engineering base, so this basically confirms the plan for the rest of the game. He knows that it's biocentric here. And a spine crawler at the bottom of the ramp, really forcing bunnies to kind of stay back and not really get to do much. There are 5 queens here. There's really not much our turret player could do. The Lings are almost irrelevant at this point. We actually see Kane moving them out to try and scout with them, but Bunny spots them with the Hellions, and he is going to make sure they get forced back. The Queen's continuing to try and zone out here, and these Overlords still doing a good job. And now we just have Kane saying, look, I don't actually think you can contest me. I'm going to go ahead and take my 3rd hatchery. What could you do about it? And the honest answer at the moment really is not much. Bunny's trying to limit creep spread, but even that becomes a little bit difficult when you've got 5 queens on the low ground. A lot more than we're used to normally seeing. There are still queens inside the bases, by the way, so don't think he's pulled everything and this is some sort of desperation move. This is Kane saying, I'm absolutely not going to fall victim to anything in the early game here, and the queen is just such a powerful unit that he's simply right on this occasion. Now, Spire going down inside, behind the mineral lines inside the main base. We have Speedlings now trying to trap as much of this army as he possibly can, but at the moment, I have to say, Bunny's getting decent positions. He's slowly starting to use these units, but a lot of these Lings are on half health or more. He needs... Oh, it looks... It's going to be very knife edge because these units could have killed off all those Lings if they got one more volley, for example, from the Hellions, but it does look like Bunny's going to be forced all the way back here. And if we take a look at the resources lost at this point, we can see Kane has lost more, but he's lost more by a fraction right now. And those Zerglings are fairly easy to continue to mass produce. He's got another group of them here, so he's enjoying that map control. And what that means right now, as far as Kane is concerned, is that he has the freedom to be able to go ahead and transition into these mutalisks without worrying too much about incoming harass. And, oh, this Ling actually spots the double drop coming across the middle of the map now. So, very, very nicely spotted, but will he be able to get units back in time? Kane knows that this drop is coming. It's on the edge of the creep of the natural expansion right now. He doesn't see it, but now he does. Here come all of the Marines stimming for, and GG, that's actually going to be enough. He can't get units out there in time. Let's take a look at the units tab. It's 13 Zerglings at the moment, droning up a little bit too heavily behind that. GG straight away, and Liquid Bunny, wow, in dramatic circumstances, takes the win in game number 1.